I want you to picture a scene for a moment. You're at a table, it's a rainy Sunday afternoon, and in front of you, there is a beat-up cardboard board, a pair of dice, maybe a few plastic hotels, and a little metal dog. What are you doing?
Well, you're playing a game, obviously.
Right. And in English, that sentence is it's perfectly simple. Playing a game. You've got the action, playing, and you've got the object, the game. It's crystal clear.
It's completely intuitive. It's how we've all described that exact activity since we were kids.
But, and this is where it starts to get really weird, if you take that exact same scene, that same little metal dog, and you go to France, the language it collapses on itself. In French, you don't really have two separate words for play and game. You just have jeu. You play a jeu. The verb and the noun, they come from the same root.
Which, as you can imagine, creates a massive headache for anyone who's trying to research this stuff. I mean, how do you even begin to explain the difference between the fun part and the rules part when you're stuck using the same word for both?
And that linguistic headache is exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into some fascinating research by Quentin Alvarez, who decided to tackle this problem head-on.
Right. In his work, Apprehender la Dichotomy, play a game.
A bit of a show-off.
Yeah.
But okay, seriously. Why does this matter? Is this just, some academic game for linguists?
No, not at all. Alvarez argues that this split that we have in English between play and game, it fundamentally shapes how we understand fun, how we design systems, even how we use technology.
So if you're a game designer or, I don't know, even just someone who uses a lot of apps that are all gamified now.
Exactly. Understanding the split is actually crucial. For a non-English speaker reading the research, it must be like trying to navigate a map where two totally different cities have the exact same name.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We're going to unpack this source material, see why having two words might actually make us English speakers miss the bigger picture, and try to figure out what's really going on in our brains when we roll those dice.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the baseline. Alvarez lays out what I guess we could call the standard model. Right? This is like day one of game studies. How do we normally split these two words?
The classic dichotomy is, well, it's pretty clean. Play is the verb. It's the activity. It's the energy, the fun, maybe even the chaos.
And game is the noun.
The game is the noun. It's the artifact, the thing you buy in the box. And that phrase, to play a game, it just perfectly embodies that split.
Yeah.
You have the doing and you have the object that's being done. It feels so natural to us.
The game is the container, and play is the liquid you pour inside.
That's a great way to put it. But Alvarez is quick to point out that when we talk about the game as an artifact, we're not just talking about a cardboard box. It gets a lot more complicated.
How so?
Well, he breaks the game artifact down into a few categories. First, you have the obvious one, material artifacts. That's your Monopoly board, your dice, that little metal dog.
The stuff you can actually touch.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Right. But then you have immaterial artifacts. Think of like a riddle or a guessing game like I Spy. There's no board, no pieces. The game just exists as a set of rules floating in the air between us.
But we still call it a game. We wouldn't say, let's play a play, not in that context.
No, we wouldn't. It's a game because it has structure, a system we agree to.
Yeah.
Then he adds symbolic artifacts. So if we're on a beach and I grab 5 pebbles to use as checkers, those pebbles are just rocks. But inside the rules, they become game pieces. They're symbolic.
Okay, I'm following. You're taking a natural object and you're sort of giving it game properties. But the source mentioned a hybrid one that I thought was really interesting with modern tech.
Oh, yeah, the bankless versions of Monopoly. Have you seen those?
I have. My family argues about it. You've got the physical board, but no paper money. There's an iPad or something in the middle that does all the banking for you.
Exactly. So look what's happening. The game artifact there is material, the board. It's immaterial, the banking app's code that you can't see. And it's symbolic all at once. So defining game isn't as simple as just pointing at a box. It's a structure.
Right. Game is the structure, and play is the energy we put in. The source quotes the psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott, who just says, playing is doing.
Playing is doing. And the French philosopher Jacques Henriot adds, to play well is to do well. So in this standard view, play is all about the player's action. It's the verb. Simple.
Okay, so that's the neat and tidy version. Play is the verb, game is the noun. But I'm guessing we're about to blow that up.
We have to. Alvarez says this clean split is actually pretty flawed. It creates a false sense of order. The second you look a bit closer, even just at a dictionary, the whole thing starts to fall apart.
Okay, so let's look at game. Again, we just said it's the noun. But in English, it's also a verb. to game.
It is, and it has a really fascinating history that just complicates everything.
When I hear to game, I think of two things. First is gambling. Gaming tables in some old saloon movie.
And that's historically accurate. For centuries, gaming was all about gambling. But today, to game has shifted. It often specifically means playing video games. The source even cites a study asking teenagers, do you game to forget about your problems?
So game is the activity there. It's doing the job of the word play. They don't ask, do you play to forget? They say, do you game?
Precisely. But there's a third meaning of to game that I think is the most revealing. Think about economics or just internet culture. If I say someone is gaming the system, what does that mean to you?
Oh, that has a very specific vibe. It means you're manipulating it. You're not exactly cheating, not breaking the rules, but you're exploiting them, finding a loophole.
You're maneuvering. So here, to game isn't just innocent playing. It implies this calculated strategic manipulation.
That's a huge difference. If I'm playing a game, I'm just participating. If I'm gaming a game, I'm trying to bend its reality.
And the source is careful to distinguish this from cheating or hacking. Cheating is breaking the rules. Hacking is breaking the code. Gaming is using the system against itself. The point is, game is clearly acting as a verb here. Dichotomy is leaking.
And it leaks the other way too, right? Because play isn't always a verb.
Not at all. A theatrical performance is a play. The way light moves is the play of light. It implies movement, freedom. If a steering wheel is loose, there's play in the wheel.
But the example that really jumped out at me from the text was about rule books. I must have read 1,000 of them, and I never saw this distinction before.
It's one of those things you can't unsee once you notice it.
So we usually say the rules of the game. That fits our model. The game is the object, here are the instructions. But Alvarez found that tons of rule books, especially for card games, will call that section the play, or how to play.
And he says that's not just a style choice. There's a real nuance. If a manual says game instructions, it's usually talking about the technical setup. Like in a video game manual, how to play might mean press X to jump.
The mechanics, the boring part.
Yes, that's the game, the machine, the system. But when a rulebook talks about the play, it's often describing the player's posture, the attitude.
So how to play can mean what are the rules, but it can also mean how do I win, or what's the right strategy.
Exactly. The question how to play is double-sided. It's about the rules, but it's also about your own strategy. So play as a noun in a rulebook becomes this bridge between the system and the player's mind.
It's like the difference between knowing how chess pieces move the game and knowing how to actually control the board, the play.
That's a perfect analogy. And this brings us to another place where game acts more like an activity than an object, the spectacle.
Spectacle, you mean like watching sports?
Yeah, just think about the phrase, I'm going to watch a hockey game.
Okay, hockey game.
Is the game in that sentence an object? Is it a box you can open?
No, of course not. It's an event. It has a start time and an end time. It's something that happens.
Exactly. It's an activity being performed. When the ref blows the whistle and says game over, the artifact, the puck, the ice, it hasn't vanished. But the game, meaning the temporal event, the match, is finished.
That reminds me of that quote from Huizinga from Homo Ludens. He says, play demands order absolute and supreme, and if you break that order, you spoil the game.
Yes, spoil the game. And Alvarez points out there's a translation issue there that's really telling.
Yeah.
You can physically spoil food, right? Make it rot, but you can't really rot a chessboard.
I mean, you could spill soda on it.
True. But Huizinga means you spoil the experience, you spoil the match. If someone gets angry and flips the table, the rules of chess still exist. But the game as an activity in that moment has been destroyed.
You broke the magic circle.
Precisely. So game there refers to the fragile order of the activity, not the physical stuff.
Okay, so play acts like a noun, game acts like a verb. The whole dichotomy is pretty shaky, but the source goes deeper into the spirit of the game. And you can't really talk about this stuff without bringing in Roger Caillois.
Caillois is essential. He proposed this spectrum that maps so well onto play and game. He used two Latin terms you see everywhere in this research, paideia and ludus.
Okay, let's break these down. They sound technical, but the ideas are actually super simple. Paideia sounds like pediatrics.
Same root. It refers to the child. Caillois defines paideia as spontaneous, improvised, totally free play.
The source gives the example of a baby just shaking a rattle or making faces. There are no rules. It's just expression, pure chaos.
It's the power of improvisation and joy,
Hmm.
pure exuberance. It's play before it's been tamed. Now, you contrast that with ludus.
Ludus sounds heavier.
Ludus is structure. It's what Kaiwa called gratuitous difficulty. It's setting up obstacles just for the fun of overcoming them. Chess, crossword puzzles, that cup and ball game.
So Paideia is the wild energy, and Ludus is the rule book trying to contain it.
In a way, yeah. Alvarez suggests they map right onto our English words. Paideia is play, the free, expressive activity. Ludus is game, the structured, rule-bound system.
Which leads to two different attitudes. You can be playful, or you can be gameful.
And this distinction is so helpful. Being playful, that's linked to Paideia. It means you're seeking amusement, fun, it's lighthearted. But being gameful, which is linked to ludus, is different.
Gameful sounds intense.
It's the spirit of competition. If you're gameful, you're not just messing around, you're seeking a challenge. You want to win, or at least test yourself against the system.
So if I'm just throwing a ball against a wall for fun, I'm being playful. If I start counting how many times I can do it without dropping it, I'm being gameful.
Exactly. You've introduced ludus, a rule, a constraint into what you are doing.
I love that. It explains why some people who are gamers aren't necessarily playful people. They're dead serious about the ludus. They want that friction.
And speaking of gamers, we have to talk about the word that ties this all together. Gameplay.
Ah, yes. Gameplay, we all use it constantly. Great story, terrible gameplay. But until I read this source, I had no idea where that word even came from. I just assumed it meant, how the game plays.
Well, you're not wrong, but the history is murky and way more technical. Alvarez digs into the origin, and it really seems to have come out of the arcade culture in the 70s and 80s.
The source has a theory. It came from the text on the arcade cabinets themselves, like how the game plays.
Right. How the game plays gets shortened to gameplays, which then gets smashed together into gameplay. But he found something surprising when he looked at the old technical manuals for games like Computer Space or Ultra Tank.
These were the instructions for the arcade operators, right? People fixing the machines.
Yes. And in those manuals, gameplay didn't mean fun or user experience. It just meant the machine was running.
Yeah, there's that great quote from the Computer Space manual from '71. It says, "Sound is on only during gameplay."
Meaning sound is on only when a coin's been put in and the machine is in an active state.
And another from Ultra Tank. The MPU controls the gameplay.
So gameplay there refers to the logic of the computer. It's all about the artifact, the machine. It has nothing to do with how the player feels. It's basically just a status light, system active.
So how did we get from the machine is on to our modern definition? The source brings up Jean-Noel Portugal, who defines gameplay as rules, commands, space, time.
It just evolved. As games got more complex, gameplay expanded to cover everything the player interacts with. But notice that even Portugal's definition is still very structural. It's about rules and commands. It's still rooted in the game, the system, not the play, the feeling.
It's still about the machinery.
Exactly. And this brings us right back to the French problem. If gameplay is this technical mix of rules and interaction, how do you translate that?
The source says they really struggle with it. They often just use the English word gameplay. But the Québécois, they introduced the word jouabilité.
Right? Jouabilité, or playability. But Alvarez notes that those two words have kind of drifted apart. Today, playability often just means, does the game work? Is it buggy? Whereas gameplay is more like, is the interaction interesting?
Which leads to the final and I think most philosophical part of this whole thing, the French solution. We've talked about the object, the game, and the activity, the play, but there's a third element, the player's mind.
Yes. And this is where we come back to Jacques Henriot. Since French doesn't have that neat play-game split, Henriot came up with a concept he called le jeu.
Le jeu, which is tricky to translate. It's like the playing, or the one who is playing.
It's probably best understood as the mental state of the player while they're playing. It's the subjective experience of it all.
And the source uses a poker analogy here that is just perfect. I think anyone who's ever tried to bluff will get this immediately.
It's the best way to see it. So you're playing poker. You're holding your cards. You are in the game, the rules, the blinds, the pot. You are performing the play betting, folding. But inside your head, something else is happening.
The poker face.
The poker face. To play well, you have to split yourself in two. You are the subject I am playing, but you are also an object I am watching myself play. You're controlling your face, analyzing everyone else, pretending to be confident.
So you're the actor and the director of your own performance at the same time.
That split, that self-aware state,
Yeah.
that is le jouant. It's the posture of the player. It connects back to what we said earlier. Play isn't just doing, it's an attitude you adopt.
That's fascinating because it means gameplay isn't just what the machine does, and it's not just what my hands do. It's this weird mental gymnastics I'm performing where I accept the rules, but also try to manipulate them, all while watching myself do it.
Precisely. And that's what Alvarez is getting at. The English dichotomy of play versus game is useful, but it's incomplete. It totally leaves out the jouant, the complex, subjective state of the person in the middle.
So what's the big takeaway for us, for someone listening who just likes to play, Mario Kart or Catan? Why does this matter?
I think it changes how you see your own fun. We think we're just using a product, we buy a game, we play it, but this shows us the line is way more porous. When you sit down to play, you're entering a contract.
You're agreeing to the ludus, the rules.
Yes, but you're bringing your paideia, your own chaos and creativity, and you're engaging in le jouant. You're adopting a specific mental posture for the occasion.
And on any given day, you might be feeling playful, just wanting to crash into things and laugh, or you might be feeling gameful, trying to shave a millisecond off your best lap time.
Exactly. The words we use really shape what we think we're doing. If we only see game and play, we might miss the gaming, the manipulation, or the jouant, the mindset.
It makes you realize that language really does shape your reality, or at least it shapes how you describe your escape from it.
It builds the categories we live inside.
So here's my thought for you, the listener. Next time you pick up a controller or roll some dice, just ask yourself, which mode are you in? Are you there for the paideia, the pure chaos and the fun? Or are you there for the ludus, the friction and the win?
And pay attention to how you talk about it. Do you say you're playing or are you gaming? The difference might tell you more about why you're there than you think.
And I'll leave you with this final thought. If language defines how we understand play, and English has two main words while French has one, are we actually playing differently because of our vocabulary? Does a French player experience Monopoly in a fundamentally different way than an American player, just because their language combines the object and the action into one thing?
Now that is a question that could launch a whole other deep dive.
For another day. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Keep playing. Or gaming.